Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than the norm. First of all, I am Trevor.
And I'm Anna.
And we are the Delightful Travelers. If you're new around here, welcome. And if you're returning, it's nice to see your faces again. Today, we got something on the plate that happens to be one of the most asked questions that we get asked, at least. People want to know how we're able to travel as often as we do. So we're going to try to take you guys through it as best as we can, the only way we know how, and hopefully it will help you travel a little more.
So first things first, just to explain some stuff and give you some background, we do actually work for ourselves. We do not have full-time jobs. We are self-employed. We have our own business. We actually have a web design company as well as this whole social media thing. So we kind of have two full-time but independent jobs, which allow us to work wherever we want to as long as we have the internet.
Right, and maybe at some point we'll talk more about how we got to the point to get full-time jobs, because that's a loaded question. I know most of you would say, like, how did you take the leap? Basically, when we had full-time jobs, we were working on our side hustle or whatever you want to call it, and then eventually we left our full-time jobs. It took a lot of work to get to that point, but we do have the freedom to kind of work and travel, so that might be step one.
Mm-hmm. And just a little bit more background, we don't travel full-time. We do have, we live in Canada on the east coast in a city called Halifax. We do have a condo that we own there, and we spend about 2 months there and then 2 months traveling, something like that. Seems to be our regular schedule.
Yeah.
Today and for the past week, we've been in Medellin, which is in Colombia. It's starting to become one of the top places for digital nomads, so it kind of caught our attention that way. It's also very, very affordable, so it caught our attention that way as well. And we were in Cartagena last year, really loved it, so we wanted to come back and see a different part of the country.
Yeah, and the term digital nomads basically means people that work for themselves and they can travel while they work, and they look for cities like this, and that's what we're going to try to take you through as we go, show you some costs of things, like groceries in the city or what a restaurant costs or maybe Uber Eats. And we'll get into that as we go. But first, we're going to talk about flights and how we get around and some of the services we use. Most times when we choose our locations, we do it because of cost, because we find it a really good deal to get somewhere. Remember, we work for ourselves, so we're able to go like, whoa, there's an amazing deal. Do you want to go to Colombia in this case? So to get down here, right now, we're in South America. We're not sure if we're going to go all around South America or not, but we actually flew to Puerto Rico first. You would have seen those videos by now. We'll link them if not. But we flew to Puerto Rico because of the flight costs.
Yeah, I had just been searching. We wanted to go somewhere warm, and I was just doing searches every day to see what we found. We came across a really fabulous flight to Puerto Rico from Halifax that was very, very affordable. I think it was about 150 US per person, something like that.
So
very affordable.
On this side, like the North American prices, that's an amazing price, especially for us Canadians to get down there. And then when we did some more research, we took a look at Puerto Rico, and just because it's such a big major island, flights out of there are very affordable as well. So we chose Colombia because what we did is we connected up to
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, and then we came down here for roughly the same cost.
I think it was about a little bit more, but we did, this is a little tip for you, when you book last minute, it tends to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
We probably waited a bit too long to book. I think it was about $250 US per person. If you were flying right from Fort Lauderdale, it would have been a lot cheaper, but we had to go from Puerto Rico to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And then back down.
So that is one tip. We use Skyscanner a lot. We'll put maybe the link in the description to find cheap flights, and lots of times that takes us to our destination. It helps us choose, and that's why we're here.
So just a little bit more about how Skyscanner works. You can actually put in your location or the location you're going to be, search the entire month and search everywhere, and you can even put in direct flights if you only wanted to fly direct.
Yeah.
And it'll give you all the prices per month of all different places, and it'll give you a huge list of where you can fly to and the best prices.
It's not sponsored, by the way.
No, we just love Skyscanner. Some other, like, Hopper is a really great app that'll also tell you if you should book or not based on the current price. And Kayak is another sort of similar to Skyscanner. It'll try to find the best prices and where to book it at.
Okay, next up we're going to talk about accommodations. So basically your flights and travel are always one of the biggest costs on how to travel more. Accommodations is probably the second biggest. So, contrary to popular belief, we do not vacation. Now, a lot of people think we are on a permanent vacation, and that is not what we do.
We actually rarely take a day off.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of true. But we get to work and travel in these amazing places. So What I'll compare it to is if you go to a resort, down in, let's say, in the Caribbean somewhere, and you'll have an amazing time, some amazing experience, but you're usually gone for a week. Depending on the resort you're going to go to, if it's a 4 or 5 star hotel, it's going to cost a lot of money.
There are all-inclusive options. A lot of people do that, especially for Canadians. Everybody, takes a week off and takes an all-inclusive vacation to Cuba or Dominican or Mexico, and it probably costs them $1,500 Canadian dollars per person, something like that.
Yeah, so if you add that up and pretend there's 2 of you, which most times there are, there's $3,000 you got to work with. Well, for $3,000 in a city like Medellin, you can live really well. I mean, so the place we're staying at right now, and we'll try to put a few clips over the screen here, we are in a 1-bedroom, beautiful, high-rise overlooking the city. We have a rooftop pool.
A gym.
There is a gym, and we're here for about 10 days, and we're paying roughly like $60 US a night. So you can quickly do the math and go, well, okay. Now, if you were staying for a month, you could get it a lot cheaper than that. Mm-hmm. And if you, this actually, I would say, is probably on the medium to expensive range.
This was definitely medium to expensive. We saw a lot cheaper. It just didn't have the same amenities. For us, this had everything we wanted. A nice modern apartment. It has AC. It has a pool, like you said, although we haven't really got to use it. But
so you get a lot. We're right next to grocery stores, and all that's in a great location in El Poblado. That video would already be on the channel. We'll link that as well, so you can check it out. But so it's a lot of the destinations we go to. If you go back and look through our channel feed, like Bali. Like in Bali, we were paying $30 a night. Yeah,
25, 30, and that again. You could you can spend $10 a night if you're willing to, sacrifice a few things.
We don't do hostels anymore, but we try to still find well-priced accommodations. But some of the other cities, and you guys might have heard us talk about this before, we're kind of scouting out cities that the older we get, we want to maybe travel a little slower. But cities like Croatia, like Split, Croatia, it's very affordable. Zagreb, it's a city we would definitely live in. I say go for a month at a time and rent a place and probably get it for well under $1,000. But Poland, Portugal, Mexico, you can do it. And all these cities have the same things you're used to in Western world or whatever you want to call it, where you get all the same amenities. So that's the second one we wanted to bring up is accommodations. Here in Medellin, we are not paying very much, and your money, you can go, get a lot more with your money, and you can go stay here a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we just talked about apartment costs. The nice thing about staying in an apartment rather than a hotel is that you get a kitchen, which means you can cook for yourself, and that saves a lot of money. Mm-hmm. It is rather cheap. We will talk about eating out. It's not too expensive to eat out here, so what we typically do is buy stuff for breakfast, maybe lunch. We might cook 1 or 2 meals, but it is, as I said, really affordable to get delivery or eating out, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, so we, I don't know about you guys, man. I know most people eat 3 meals a day. We don't. We eat roughly 2. Probably, we kind of sort of follow the intermittent fasting thing, where basically we eat around 12 o'clock, noon, and usually we have like 1 big meal after that. So we save a lot of money, even if we do eat out for the 1 big meal. And in this city, we'll get into it, very affordable. We save a lot of money just because we have our own kitchen. Now, at the grocery store, you'll be surprised. It has, here in Colombia, believe it or not, it has all the same amenities that you would find in the United States or Canada. I know some people would probably have this, perception of that, you can't get certain things here, or it's in Colombia and things like that. It's all here. We've found that to be the case in any country we go to. So I'll try to put a few things up on the screen here because I don't know all the costs offhand. But like the prices of milk, is very affordable when you compare it back to what we get back home. Things like water is less expensive. Your meat is definitely less expensive in general. Beer, I feel like I should know the price of cerveza. That's a lot cheaper. So at a grocery store, you're probably paying, probably between 75 cents and maybe $1 or something like that for a can. So it's all very affordable, and the grocery stores have everything you need. And there seems to be a lot of grocery stores and malls in this city.
Yeah, they're really nice.
So it's really easy and convenient. We can just go out and walk her to the grocery store and bring it back, and we have food for a lower cost.
Yes, and you mentioned beer. Wine, we're not finding as cheap as we'd hoped. It's not expensive, but it's certainly not really, really cheap like you find in Europe. It's probably like $10 for an okay bottle, something like that?
Yeah, a little less than what we'd pay in Canada, but a little more than you would think you should pay down here.
Yeah.
So now we'll talk about restaurants and delivery a little bit. So first of all, a few videos ago, we were eating some Colombian food and we visited multiple restaurants there. You can check out the prices in that video. You'll see them on the screen. But the good thing about this city is the prices range, and because of this area called Poblado, which is it's touristic, but it's a beautiful area. So if you're coming to Medellin, you're going to end up there no matter what. So the prices there, the restaurants there are like we would find, I guess, in some of the hip or trendy areas, back in the United States or Canada or anywhere else in the world. So you'll pay a little more. You might pay closer to North American prices or Western prices, but it's still not as much.
Yeah. So, for instance, the other day we went to what would be considered an expensive restaurant here. It was an Italian restaurant. I think you had a beer and we had maybe 3 glasses of wine between the two of us for the entire evening, and we each had a main, and it came to about $35 US, $30 US, and we were like, ooh, this is so expensive. But really, if we had at home, we probably, for all that alcohol especially, it would have cost 60
or 70 Canadian dollars. So that would almost be close to double the price. So even those more expensive restaurants are very affordable. Now, you can go down any street corner, or there's lots of smaller shops anywhere, and you can get like local food for dollars. Yeah. Not very much at all, and you can eat and you'll get filled up. So you have the options, and that's usually what we look for, is a different kind of thing. Some nights we eat for a lot less because we are eating local food, and some nights we may choose to go to an Italian restaurant just because we've been eating local food the whole time. Delivery, Uber Eats, and what's the one here, Rappi?
So there's something called Rappi,
Yeah, so basically if you don't know what any of those are, because not everybody has those services, basically there's a lot of motorbikes in the city and they bring your delivery. It's so affordable. So the other night we ordered another pizza. I happen to be like, we're enjoying pizza lately, I guess. But we ordered another pizza, and it came within 20 minutes, and we paid something like 8 Canadian dollars for it. So, and it was a very big pizza. It was really good from
a medium-sized pizza and a good pizza.
Yeah, so the delivery options, it's just fantastic. I'm very jealous of all the delivery in this city. So you have multiple options what you can do here. You can eat local, you can get delivery, and you can eat at more of a fancy place, and still for a lot less than we would get back where we're from.
Yeah, so I would say for like a generous budget, you could easily eat on $50 a day.
Oh, easily.
Yes. And if you're on a really strict budget, like you don't want to spend more than $20 a day, you can do it. You definitely can do it, especially if you're cooking at home. So again, trying to compare all prices to all inclusives and things like that, you can easily eat for $10 to $20 a day with groceries. So you save a lot of money. Another important thing when we're traveling is Wi-Fi. So because we work for ourselves and we have this whole social media channel and all that, videos are very large, we need fast internet. And that's like one of the number one things people, especially digital nomads, look for when they're traveling, is to find fast internet. Here in Medellin, they happen to have blazing fast internet. In fact, the internet here at our apartment condo is so fast, all the other places that we've been so far also has fast internet. So if we go to a coffee shop or even some of the gyms that are wired for Wi-Fi. So we haven't even had to turn on our phones yet. Usually we can just hook on Wi-Fi and away we go. So I'd say Colombia so far, because in Cartagena was really good as well, but here in Medellin has some of the best Wi-Fi we've come across, and I get why there's a lot of people here working for themselves. So after that, of course, you're going to talk about SIM cards. Now, because the Wi-Fi is so fast here, we didn't go out and get a SIM card this time. So normally we do go and get a local SIM card and swap it out on our phone and buy some data, but we didn't have to. Now I don't know if did we get any did
costs?
A little bit of research because we thought we might when we first got here, not knowing how good the Wi-Fi would be. It costs seem to vary, but with the main networks, it seems to be about $5 for a SIM card, and then not huge data plans for about 2 gigs. I think it would cost about $20.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, for under $30, you could be set up for the month, but maybe with not as much data as you'd like.
Next on the list is language barriers. So we just wanted to bring that up because we just get asked this question so often. People, the first thing they say, if we're in Greece or if we're in Croatia, it's like, oh, do people speak English? Like, well, how do you get by? How do you get by? Well, the thing is, most people in a lot of countries do speak English, but we kind of like when they don't, because then it forces us to interact in ways and hand gesture and maybe try to learn a few words And between usually the other person's broken English and our broken, in this case, Spanish, which is not even broken, it doesn't exist.
Hardly exists.
It makes for some fun interactions, and I certainly don't expect people to speak English when they do. It is great. Here in Medellin, surprisingly, there's not a lot of English.
There's not. I think that will probably change over time. The city
Yeah.
is definitely becoming more on the radar. So
Yeah, and I want to just say, I don't say that surprised like they don't speak English. It's more, here's what usually happens when you travel. Younger people seem to be able to speak English in some way, shape, or form.
I think in a lot of countries, English is
secondary.
they learned it in
Yeah.
school now
And
nowadays. Yeah.
I don't think they have here, or they haven't really needed to, which is, again, it's totally fine. But in this case, you're going to be in situations maybe here and there where you're going to have to get by with some Spanish. So you get to learn a few words, and it's okay. You're actually going to enjoy it at the end.
You always figure it out. We've never
yeah.
been in any situation where we were totally lost and couldn't figure out a way to communicate with
We have
somebody.
once. We were in China once, and I bought contact solution that was for like the acid kind, and I put it in my eyes, and that was a bad day. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next topic.
Generally, that doesn't happen. Okay, so Trevor was just talking about how people often ask about language barriers. Another thing people often ask is safety. Medellin, you probably automatically think of drug cartels. That's a thing of the past, guys. It is so safe here.
Yeah.
People are really friendly. It's great to walk around. It's easy. I can't say anything bad about the safety here.
I mean, that said, like any city, just do things that you would do in your own city.
Yeah, use common sense.
Use common sense. So
yeah.
we get this a lot from, especially Mexico. People are like, is it safe? It's completely safe in Mexico, unless you're out at night or something.
Don't go buy drugs, kids.
Yeah, like don't go out and buy drugs at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at night. Like,
or anytime.
yeah, so the way we happen to travel is we're not late night partiers. I'm sure you guys probably figured that out. We're usually in pretty early, and then doing some work. So we're out in the day, but we just use common sense.
Yep.
Everyone is nice. We like to think people are always going to be very nice, and they are. We've never been in a situation.
If you're going into an unfamiliar neighborhood, just maybe do a little bit of research before you go there to make sure that it's okay.
Yeah. So in general, in Medellin, in Colombia, and in Cartagena, you can walk the streets by yourself. You can do anything you want. It's completely safe. And if you need help and you ask someone, they're going to help you. People are going to try to tell you in Spanish where to go. And it's funny, when we walk around, we have this big camera we're filming on with a big old microphone, and people are waving and wanting to be in the video. So the people here in Colombia are extremely friendly. It's very safe. So, keeping on the topic of how you can travel more, so one thing we do, we have this social media presence, I guess.
How you found us?
I guess we're travel influencers, or whatever you want to call it. All the terms just sound so silly sometimes, but I like to call us, we're just content creators. So we make a lot of videos, we have a lot of blog posts, we have a lot of photos on our Instagram account. So what we did is when we quit full-time jobs and we wanted to travel more, one way to help with costs would be if we could get our following and just get enough of people following us and interested in what we do. While we travel the world, we can maybe work with different brands and sometimes hotels, and that will help with the costs because there's like a partnership or a sponsorship. So that's one way we keep the costs down. Now, we don't always, like right now, we're renting a place. We, by no means do we ever stay everywhere for free or get paid.
No, not at all.
But often we do get chances to work with some hotels specifically, and it's a lot of fun, and it's worth it because it does help us with the costs.
Yeah. That being said, it is basically a full-time job being a social media influencer.
Yeah.
I don't love that term, but yeah, it's a lot of work. Don't just think you can post some photos here and there and you're gonna be offered free hotels and
I'm sure
loads of people are gonna follow you. It's a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but a lot of fun.
I'm sure some of you guys watching, I remember when I started watching travel bloggers like Fun for Louie's and Ben Brown's back in the day. You might be mildly interested in like how this is all done. It is entirely possible, but there's no shortcuts. Like the amount of work you put in, you're gonna get it out on the other side, and it takes a while. I mean, we've been doing this for a few years, I guess now, and it wasn't, up until maybe last year, like we're starting to get a lot more things, but it does take work. Like Anna said, it is pretty much a full-time job. It takes a while to post Instagram photos. It takes a very long time to create these YouTube videos. Most people would be shocked how long it takes So mad respect to all the YouTubers out there.
And I just want to say one thing about the collaborations we do with hotels. People will be like, oh, you get to stay for free. We don't actually get to stay for free. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and it's an exchange on both sides.
Yeah, it's not like we're just laying down and enjoying the amenities of the hotel all the time. It's a lot of planning out, but it is worth it. So if it's something you're thinking about doing, I think you pursue it. If it's one of your dreams, like go follow it and give it a shot. Like, what have you got to lose? Just remember, there's no shortcuts. So don't buy likes. Don't pay for comments on your YouTube video when you have 100 views and you have 50 comments. That just doesn't make sense. People will see through that stuff. So just be you. Give it a shot if you want, and it could help. I mean, if you can get something out of it on the other end, like we are, and we're having fun. That's the most important thing. We're having fun while we're doing this. It is totally worth it.
And you have to be passionate about it.
Yeah, you gotta love doing this.
So hopefully this has answered any and all questions that you have about the expenses of traveling, how much it costs to be here in Medellin, and that probably applies to other cities as well. But if we didn't answer your specific question, please leave a comment below. We'd love to answer it for you.
Yes, and I feel like this video is going to be long, so if you got this far,
yay!
thanks for staying with us. And you might as well why don't you just hit subscribe already if you're not subscribed, and then that way you can follow us on our journey.
And if you did that, you might as well hit that notification bell, because then it will actually tell you when we have new videos.
Right, and Anna said leave us a comment. If you hit the thumbs up button, that helps as well. Again, you watched this far, so you might as well just do all the things for us. We would appreciate it. But now we're going to talk about where we're going next. But first, in our last video, it was so much fun. We were eating all that delicious Colombian food, so make sure to go check that out. And in our next video, we are going to a new country.
New country, new city, new country. We are going to Lima, Peru.
Cannot wait. So we've wanted to get down to Peru for so long, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think we're doing Machu Picchu, so
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But we're going to hang out in the city and explore it. We can't wait for that. But that's about it, guys. Wraps up the video, I'd say.
All right, guys, that's it.
From Medellin, wishing you delightful travels.
See you soon.